Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming out for the 2019 Hurricane Preparedness meeting in Biscayne Park. Want to thank you for coming out this morning. A couple commissioners that are here. We have Commissioner Dan Samaria and Commissioner Will Tudor. Thank you. And I'm Christian Manners. I'm village manager here. With us at the table are Chief Luis Cabrera and our... Yes, it's on. At the table here is Chief Luis Cabrera and our Public Works Manager, David Hernandez. So, can you hear me? Okay. Should I step away from the speaker? Okay. All right, so we'll get going here. Hopefully we'll have another quiet year this year for hurricane. But in the case that we don't, we always try to give a hurricane preparedness shot. Is that one working? Is this one working better? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully we'll have another quiet year this year. If not, we want to be prepared. We want to be prepared for it as possible. And so that's the purpose of this meeting. And so fortunately, this microphone is not part of our preparedness plan. Okay, ready? All right. Can you hear me without going deaf? Okay. I hear you. Thank you, Rosemary. All right. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go through what we need to do, and we're going to do it in 3 parts. We'll talk about pre-storm, what the residents need to do to protect themselves or prepare themselves. Did I lose it again? All right, I'm going to talk loud, so we'll try and go from that. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay. So this year what we'll do is we're going to look at pre-storm, what residents will need to do for themselves, what the village can do in the county. During the storm, same thing, residents, village, county. Post-storm, and with that it's residents, village, county, state of Florida, and FEMA. And then at the end, building resilience. It's communication among all stakeholders, which is the staff, the commission, the residents, utility providers, infrastructures, and empowering citizens. And we'll do some Q&A at the end too if you have questions specifically, okay? So we want to be proactive as opposed to reactive wherever possible. One of the parts of that is that what we can do now, I can tell you that as hurricane season starts in June, what you as residents need to do is, to do the standard store water, food, prepare your homes, trim your trees, and do that now. That's important that you're not doing that right before a hurricane. It's difficult to get balloons picked up prior to the hurricane. You do it when we know what's out there. And so from that perspective, do that now so they can all be trimmed and removed and ready to go. This is before the storm again. Clean up your yards. We will look at, different things that we have to do for construction sites. If there's any construction sites, our code department, our public works department will go to each of them individually as well as our building official and make sure that everything that could possibly become a projectile is tied down or moved indoors or removed from the village. So we do that to the best of our ability. Of course, have medical supplies, flashlights, batteries, radios, medicines. That's important. We have a number of senior citizens here. And it's very important to have refills on your meds ready before hurricane season if you need them. In particular, if they're a daily med that is really, keeping you alive in a lot of ways. So, and you can determine your own risk. And usually we start to ask people to do this in early May. They have May 6th there, but in order to do it, now's a good time to start looking at the hazards that, a hurricane could bring to us. Heavy rainfall. We don't have a big problem with flooding here. During Irma, we had some on Griffin from the canal, and that was really about it as far as the flooding goes. tornadoes, strong winds, those we sort of expect with a hurricane. And from that perspective, tie everything down. That's the best thing. If your patio furniture, move indoors, and get ready for it that way. We have 2 evacuation zones in Biscayne Park, and it runs right down 119th Street, which is over.
Well, the yellow one.
119, right?
Oh, the yellow
So the Zone C is most of Biscayne Park. Zone D is north of 119th Street. And during Irma, what happened was the county announced that we were under mandatory evacuation for Zone C. So everyone just sort of thought we were under evacuation order, and Zone D didn't necessarily, well, actually, a lot of residents didn't leave, and that's to be expected as well. We do recommend that if we get an evacuation order from the county, that the residents do evacuate, but we understand too, we all live in Florida. Secure your property instructors now. Don't wait for the storm warnings to be issued, please. This is something we can get ahead of, and that, I do it at my home, and, you as residents can do it at yours as well. Trim the trees, we talked about that. One of the hard parts in our park is that we do have a very heavy tree canopy, and that's responsible for taking out a lot of power lines. I can tell you that starting the day after the storm, everyone wants electricity again. And the more trees that take that out, the worse shape we're going to be in. We are looking at undergrounding some lines. We're talking with FPL about that now. But the more that we can do to prepare for that. And we have FPL will be in trimming any trees that they see that are around the power lines. Clean your yard, remove potential projectiles. Make sure you have protective coverings and hardware for all openings, such as storage shutters, that sort of thing, unless you have impact windows and doors. If possible, take steps to reinforce roof tiles. And we'll have this on our website, so you can click on these links and go to these different informational sites. It helps to have a written plan. I know that we as the village do. We just had our hurricane meeting last week to start looking at what we can be doing to prepare and reminding everyone, because it's been a couple years since a hurricane now, so we're starting to forget some of the little details, and so every year we want to go through this and review it so that we're on top of this. Writing down your plan will help you avoid mistakes, and that's why we do it as well. We have a large CERT plan that tells us, it's a 100-page plan that tells us every little detail we need to do. I can tell you during the hurricane, no one pulls that out. You don't have time to sit there and review 100 pages. We have our cheat sheets that, all of our department heads have, and so that we all know quickly and, exactly what we need to do. We know that prior to a hurricane, we fill up all our police cars. We get a gas delivery at Public Works. Public Works goes around, secures the Public Works yard, checks the construction sites, looks for any vulnerable trees or limbs if necessary. We all work together as staff to try and get this taken care of as possible, make the village itself as safe as possible during a storm. We're looking for projectiles, and we'll knock on your door if we see it in your yard too. So that's one thing, to be prepared. We're here to help, but we're also here to remind sometimes. And so from that perspective, additionally, we'll have our own stores of food. During Irma, I was here for 10 days. I didn't leave the village. And we have our own stores of food for staff. Village Hall will be staffed. That's our EOC center officially. It will be staffed with police and myself. We have a county EOC center that in North Miami. Mr. Hernandez would be there, so that we're getting any information in a real-time fashion from the county. And so we'll be working together collectively on this during the storm. Okay, for residents, here's some checklists and to help create a written plan. Again, this will be on our website, so you'll be able to go through that, and we'll have this up on the website next week. You can tailor your plan to prepare evacuation kits if you need to. Just have a go bag, a simple, emergency supplies that last you 7 days. That gives you at least some breathing room. Have some cash out of the bag because ATMs won't work. People can't run your credit card if they have no power. So, but there's opportunities there. So if you have cash, make sure you have enough to last you a few days. Include supplies for household members, and remember your pets. Please don't leave your pets behind. If you love them enough to have them in the first place, take them with you if you evacuate. Create and review your checklist: food, water, medicine, first aid kit, batteries, cash, fuel for vehicles and generators, grills and stoves. And that's something too that you want to keep in mind during the hurricane. We saw this during Irma. A lot of the gas stations, everyone lined up for gas. There were lines everywhere. A lot of gas stations, ran out of gas, that sort of thing. So fill up early. Top it off as often as you can prior to the hurricane, so that you are prepared. And if you have a storage tank for it at home, or a gas can at home, that's good to have. Protect your electronic data. Unplug your computers during the hurricane. There will be thunder and lightning, and we expect power fluctuations before the power goes out officially for the duration. And so that will eat up your computers and your refrigerators and your appliances. So practice the plan with all members of your family and household, and that's important. Discuss it with your kids so that it takes some of the fear out of it. You can make it into sort of a we're going away for a few days, and then we'll come back and we'll clean the house and all of that after the hurricane, so that they know they're safe throughout. And develop a multi-tiered plan. If you're going to shelter in place, think about what happens if a tree goes through your house. Do you have a neighbor you can run to, or another building you can run to? That's something that's important. I know that we as staff look at our public buildings in the village, and even though our village hall is hardened to 175-mile-an-hour winds, we know that should a tree go through the roof or something like that, and we have to go, we're going to go to either the log cabin or public works. And so, it's good to have that plan B, because every hurricane is different. We can prepare all we want, but there's no predicting exactly what's going to happen. And when mandatory evacuations, leave as early as possible. Don't wait. If you hear of a mandatory evacuation, get on the road as quickly as possible. We saw that again during Irma, that I-95 and most corridors heading north were backed up for hours. And people would get on there and just be stuck and sit there for hours. So that's good. Have alternate routes available. And I think for most of us, we have the little app called Maze. And so that will help you find alternate routes. Be aware of gas shortages. Again, take your pets. Gather supplies, valuables, key documents, insurance policies, IDs, medical documents, legal paperwork. You don't want to have to deal with your insurance company if you don't even have your policy handy. So take that with you. Be sure you have that. And just develop a communication plan to speak with whomever you need to in your family. If you have family that aren't here, much of my family is not in the state of Florida. So when we're going through a hurricane, I can guarantee that much of my phone tower will be eaten up with texts and emails saying, "You okay?" And so it helps to have that plan. What I usually do is I designate one cousin that I'll communicate with, and everyone else can call her. So. Evacuations. There's mandatory and voluntary evacuation. Again, you can go to hotels, friends, family residences, or shelters. There's some links on there where pet-friendly places are. Consider staying with family and friends outside the evacuation zones. Evacuation shelters. The county will always open some evacuation shelters. Some will be pet-friendly. If you have pets that need to go to an evacuation shelter, then definitely get there early, because they do fill up fast. Elderly and disabled residents, we have a list of elderly residents that we know of here in the village that we try to take care of and check on after the hurricane. If you know of someone let us know. We'll be happy to add them to our list so that, the day after the hurricane, we can go and just check on them, make sure that, they have at least water and food and that sort of thing, that they're okay, that they have what they need until we can get all the services restored. So, construction sites, again, property owners working with contractors to secure all building materials. Again, we have a flyer back there from the South Florida Building Code, and so that just tells a little bit more about that. Evacuation status is issued by the county or the state. Evacuation, and again, the village has the 2 zones, but you can listen to the news for that. They'll be the first one to get it out to you. And actually, we oftentimes hear it on CNN or hear it on the local news before we even get notified from the county. So that's often your fastest way. Secure your homes, please. If you do evacuate, keep in mind that we will be here in the village, but we're not going to be able to run out during the hurricane to check on your home. We're not going to be concerned about property nearly as much as we are about life safety issues. And that's for all of our residents. We also have to protect our staff. We don't want our police officers going out mid-hurricane, particularly if the winds are high, and the last thing we need is our police force reduced at that point because 2 or 3 officers got hurt. And here's some additional planning resources again. These links will all be helpful. There's Red Cross, ReadyGov, Ready.gov, and that will help you to make a few plans. So again, what the village does to prepare, we meet and plan with each department. We've already done that this year. We start to prepare all legal documentation with the attorney that's working with the attorneys to make sure that we've got a state of emergency ready if needed. Typically, I think during Irma we had the governor issued a state of emergency, the county did, and we did as well. So these are all things that we do internally. Notice to proceed to our contractors, like we had Grubbs during Irma. I sent them the notice to proceed a couple days before the hurricane got here. So they had gotten it, they were able to move equipment down here, so that the day after the hurricane, they were boots on the ground and going, and starting to do the push and clear the roads. We work with Miami-Dade Emergency Management staff at the EOC Center, and that's in North Miami, at the police station there. During Irma, I didn't have David that year, so I was running back and forth between the EOC and Village Hall for as much as I could. This year will be a little smoother, hopefully. Well, hopefully we won't have a hurricane, but if we do, we have additional boots on the grounds. Police department will coordinate an Alpha Bravo schedule. What that means is the officers are on 12-hour shifts. There's the ones that are on shift when the hurricane starts will stay until the hurricane ends. And so we're not going to try and switch out additional officers during the hurricane. Again, that's for their own safety. Supplies for emergency responders, that's something that we take care of for our ERC, our public works. We secure all our village facilities. This one has storm shutters, public works, the log cabin, and Village Hall all have intact windows and doors. So from that perspective, we're covered. Assure all contracts are in place and in compliance with FEMA's requirements, that we do as well. Coordinating with disaster response contractors, again, that's Grubbs, that's our debris monitoring company, and so forth. And then we conduct wellness checks for the elderly and disabled. And again, that's running around trying to find out from our list people that we know who are elderly. We have some residents that are in their mid-late 90s. We know they're not going to evacuate. And so we try to keep an eye on them and help them however we can. Currently, we're conducting our monthly generator maintenance for the rec center. This building has a generator for it. We have one at Public Works that we use not for the building but for the gas pumps there. And so from that perspective, we are doing that. We're checking storm drains and grades. We'll start to have all of those cleaned before hurricane season so that they will hold the maximum amount of water and allow the maximum amount of percolation for the water to absorb. We update and verify our contact list for all village personnel, contractors, and Miami-Dade County emergency management and government's emergency contracting. So all those are done. We would schedule fuel deliveries and fill all municipal vehicles, oversee mutual aid agreements between agencies, visit all active construction sites, confirm communication systems are in place. Excuse me. During Irma, one of the differences, and thank you, Commissioner Tudor, he has brought to us the Everbridge system, and we'll be working to get that in place. And what that is a SMS text push that will geolocate through the village. So if you have a cell phone, we will be pushing to you texts that say what to do and updates, that sort of thing, on an emergency basis. And so,
That would go to any cell phone?
and it will go to every cell phone that can receive a text, yes. So there will also be, I mean, once we have this up and running, there'll also be other options on that where you can opt in for things like, gosh, I'd like to receive some notices from the village on events or police, that sort of thing. But for emergencies, it's not really an opt-in, it's a geolocator. So that way we can reach the most people as possible. During Irma, that was not in place. Village Hall was out of power. We had to set up here in the rec center. We got power back here first. So we opened this up as the cooling center for residents, and we had village staff here. And the only way we had to communicate was email for the people that had email or had managed to charge their phones in their car and could check email that way. We also posted notices throughout the village so that people could at least get some information if they needed it. And so it was a fly by the seat of our pants sort of thing, but we still got the information out. And this year, should we have another hurricane, we're more prepared on that one. So during the storm, for any life safety emergencies, dial 911. Emergency responders may not come out during the storm and high winds. Again, that's for their own safety as well. We ask that you stay indoors. During Irma, it was probably 11 o'clock at night, middle of the storm, and we get a call from 911 saying that a resident was out walking her dog and got hit by a tree limb. And so please make plans to take care of your pets without having to leave your house, because that puts everybody at risk. Our officers responded, God love them, and took care of her nonetheless, but we really don't want to have to send officers out during the storm. So, life before property again. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
While you're on that point, Chief, isn't there a protocol that when the winds reach a certain mile an hour, that the police remain on
Yes.
safe? Could you elaborate?
35 miles an hour.
Yes.
When winds reach approximately 35 miles an hour, both police and the fire rescue department will evaluate the call, and will make a determination if they're going to be able to provide the services needed. In the past 2 or 3 years, they've really scaled down on going out there, because the issue becomes that if I can't get to you, now there's the person you're rescuing and the rescuers that need to be rescued. So then it just aggravates the situation. So, unfortunately, we live in this in a very social society where everything's very publicized. But at heart, both fire rescue, police, at heart, we don't think of our lives. We just go out there and do it. But for the most part, we recommend that you don't put yourself at risk, and you don't put us at risk. So that's where we stand.
Thank you, Chief. And the Chief is right about that, but I can also tell you that sitting there with the officers during that call, the officers were like, we're going.
Yeah.
We're going to help this resident. And I appreciate that from their perspective as well. They were able to do it safely, and they evaluated it so that they could. but they still will put themselves at risk, sometimes despite my best advice and the chief's best advice as well. And so we have a very loyal team of officers here. But always, it's life before property. Police and village manager, again, will be on site throughout the storm. David will be EOC. Police may respond to life safety emergencies only, not property-related matters. Another call that we got during Irma, middle of the night, hey, there's a generator rolling down 10th Avenue. Well, someone's without power, and I hope they find it tomorrow when the storm's over. We're not sending someone out for that. And so, and then after the storm, and this is where we're always surprised after the storm. No matter how much you plan, every storm is different. Irma, we were planning for a direct hit of a Cat 5. We got lucky. We got very lucky. It was still a mess, but it could have been a lot worse. So keep that in mind, that no matter how we plan, no matter what we have in place, things change. And at the day after the storm, we will be doing whatever we have to make sure our residents are okay, to get utilities restored as quickly as possible, to get our streets cleared as quickly as possible.
Sure. So last year, I guess there was so much talk about where all of the debris was put on different medians. Did you decide this year that you're going to put the debris different, if there is anything serious, you'll put it in a different median or a rec center?
Again, our rec center, this big green field out here, that is permitted for it. We've already got the DERM permit in place for that. And so from that perspective, that's our plan. But the reality is, again, every hurricane's different. And so, the day after the hurricane, when we're evaluating, we're going to look for open spaces that we can get trucks into and out of as quickly and easily as possible. And most of the DERM permitting is done after the fact, because you just, no matter how you plan, each one's different. And so it's possible that, during the last hurricane, the median on 114th Street between 7th Avenue and 8th Avenue, the trees had pretty much blown down on that. So that was a big clear space that we could utilize. It really wasn't just to torture the residents on that street, but it was close to 6th Avenue where we could get trucks in and out with minimal damage. It was a way for us to have that. And we also used the space next to Village Hall. That space was filled to overflowing, and so we opened up the second site. And so, depending on the hurricane, depending on what we have available to us, excuse me. And so what we have available to us post-hurricane, it will be the field here, and then any plan B, C, or D that we need afterwards. The day after the hurricane, keep in mind too, there's power lines down throughout the village. Some of them will be live. So don't get out and walk around and look and see, what happened. I know everyone's curious at that point to see what's left standing, but it's safer to stay home until we can get out and evaluate, get FPL here, make sure the lines are either put back up or cut. So that's important. If you're without power, which realistically we all are, 1-800-4-OUTAGE. That's a direct line to FPL. It will be overwhelmed. You will be on hold. They will say, we know you don't have power. During Irma, FPL had power restored to all the residents here within 12 days, with the exception of the ones on, I believe, 111th Street, and that was because there was a tree down that had live power lines caught in it, and that took some orchestrating to get that resolved. Keep in mind unmarked road hazards.
May I introduce something?
Absolutely.
One of the things that it's good to keep in the back of everybody's mind with FPL is that FPL is going to come out and electricity runs in loops. How did this work as to your advantage is that if you have power, but your neighbor doesn't have power, but your other neighbor has power, okay? So all of a sudden, the majority of the block has power, and there might be one or two houses that don't. The key is that more than likely your service drop was caused by a tree limb that broke. So when you do call FPL, if everybody has power and you don't, 9 out of 10 times, it will be your service drop. What happens? You can't call FPL and explain to them, hey, 1-800-HOURS, I don't have any power. You gotta be careful that you say, my neighborhood has power, my neighbors, therefore, must be my service drop. Then they'll create another ticket, so that ticket could be issued directly to a lineman, and then they go out and service power. Well, a lot of times, you'll get power and you'll say, I have power, my neighbor has power, why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long? Because the devil there is where the details are. So, keep that in mind, that if your neighbor, everybody has power, it might be your service drop. Probably was affected with a tree that got a limb that fell. So when you call it and you call that 1-800-HOURS, make sure specifically you give them your address, but the neighborhood has power, but your service drop might have been affected.
Two quick things. One, I know for us it took a while to figure out what line we're on. So our next door neighbor has power sometimes on one side because he's on a different power line.
He's on a different grid.
There's like 4 of us that are on this one transformer, and when that blows, it's just 4. So they don't really care about us because there's 4 houses or whatever it is. But, so I think sometimes it takes a while to figure out what line you're on. But the other thing with FPL that I found is if you can go in through your phone, if you have a smartphone, the website where you report it will send you updates, and they're pretty accurate.
Yes.
Actually, they tell you, your power will be restored, and I call even when it goes out when somebody's tree hits it or something, it just flashes it, and it will tell you it's going to be restored by 11:45. Usually by like 11, it's back on. They want to make themselves look better, I think, so they give you a projected time out. But they send you updates, and so I don't know if you get the same thing when you call, but I know when you do it through their website, they also, they'll send you, and they'll tell you it's been closed out, and is everything okay? So that's also a good way. I don't know if you can.
Because they created a ticket on that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Now, I can tell you during a hurricane, a lot of the tickets, we had this during Irma, a lot of the tickets got closed out prematurely, and then people had to call again, and then, that sort of thing. So hopefully FPL is more prepared for it going forward, and has their system fixed so that doesn't happen anymore. But again, please keep your tempers. And so we're all hot and frustrated and, after a hurricane, worried. And so, but it just always helps if you're nice to the FPL people, because I guarantee you they can beat them half to death. And they have friends and family at home as well that, they're worried about their own homes. So that's one of the things. I know during that time, we had a number of residents coming here and they were screaming at staff about not having power. That's not within our ability to restore the power. That has to come from FPL. It is in FPL's personal interest to get the power restored as quickly as possible, because every time you're not, your refrigerator's not running, your AC's not running, they're losing money. So they want to be on board with it.
How do we get that website to the people? Because it just makes you feel, and we were only out for 5 days. I mean, he had to work on it. Our neighbor sent over some kind of line so he could set up his computer under the tree so he could work. And I was in the house, dying of the heat. But how can we get people that particular website so that they can, it makes you feel better when you know it's coming back on. You don't get as anxious.
Absolutely. Share it with me, and we'll include that, in this presentation, and we'll be blasted out should we have a hurricane. So that will be good. So it's fresh in people's minds prior to. So thank you. Sure. Appreciate that tremendously. And that's one of the things that I can't stress enough. We are a small community. We do have limited staff, and the residents that do things like Rosemary, David, Amy, and George, some new faces here that I don't know yet, but we all just sort of have to work together and really help each other. And so staff will be here to help wherever they can, but self-reliance is a good thing too, and helping your neighbor, just being kind, helping your neighbor, that helps everyone. So anyway, unmarked road hazards. After the hurricane, we expect for there to be debris blocking roads, and other safety hazards such as power lines. Please don't walk around or drive. Please do not ignore barricades. And we had this after Irma. We had some residents saying, I live right over there. I'm driving through your barricade, over this live power line to get to my house. And, and we had that happen. They were, some of them got pretty angry about having to drive around the block to get home. But if you see a barricade or cones, they're there to protect you. So please pay attention to those and respect those. Information updates from myself will be posted on all public buildings. So that's Public Works, the Rec Center, the Log Cabin, and Village Hall after a hurricane. We expect, we expect a lot of people can't get their e-blasts and that sort of thing. So we'll post notices on the doors giving the latest information on that. There's a with the public buildings we have, there's posts enough that everyone can walk to it if need be. And so at least until phones are restored and power is restored. Again, non-hazardous residential power outages, 1-800-4-OUTAGE, and FPL. One of the things with FPL, because we're a small village, we have feeder lines that bring power to the area, and then we have tertiary or secondary lines that come off of that. So the first thing FPL is going to do is get the feeder lines up and running. Their goal is to get as much power back to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So that's the first thing they do, is get the feeder lines, and then do the secondary and the tertiary lines so that it goes to individual houses and that. So that's how they work it. So understand that after a hurricane, particularly if it's a severe hurricane, it's going to be a few days while they're just working on the feeder lines before it ever starts to get to us and trickle down. And you will see this. You'll see times where you're on one grid, your neighbor's on another, and you're watching your neighbor sit there bask in air conditioning while you're sweating, but it will get to you too. So. And we did, one of the things that we did during Irma, we took down people's addresses and they would come and say, I just don't have power, and we would call FPL ourselves. We do have an FPL contact.
We have a representative assigned.
We do. And we would work with her saying, okay, on 11th place, all these houses have power. This house doesn't. Let's get it and find out what happens. Boil water orders. Those are issued through North Miami and then through village staff. A little confusion that happened was North Miami released took off their boil water order during Irma. For them, their water was okay. For us, we were moving trees, that sort of thing, so we would have times where a tree, when we removed it, the roots would pull up a water line or a water main, and the water would need to be boiled again. So we kept our boil water order on a little bit longer than North Miami did, just in a matter of caution, or just as a matter of caution, so that our residents were taken care of. So again, that will be posted on public buildings. So, yes, Chuck.
Yeah, while you're on the North Miami issue, they have an emergency number to report water outages or breaks in the lines.
Yes.
It's 305-953-2854. Maybe you want to put that in the.
We can have
That's
that.
your 24/7 of it.
Yeah, or you can just call Village Hall, because we call North Miami all the time whenever we see a water line broken. So, Village Hall is also 305-899-8000. But again, if phone lines are down and you have a cell phone, you can call them directly. We'll have the number that Chuck just stated as well. So, elevator disabled residents at risk or in need of assistance. If you know someone, the day after a hurricane, report it to the police, to staff, to 911, depending on the issue. If it's urgent emergency care, 911 is the best choice. Yes, Dave.
I think maybe we've asked about this in the past, but I'm not sure. Where does the list come from? How is that generated and how is that maintained?
The list of elderly residents?
Elderly, disabled
It's
residents.
strictly, sometimes it's family members that tell us, sometimes it's people that, our staff, some of our staff have been here a long time. They know some of these residents. And, we know a lot of residents on a first name basis, and we know who's elderly and infirm. But if you know someone, please give us a name, give us their address.
You think
Those
it
are,
would- it might make sense to put out like, an email requesting, for the residents here to do the same thing, to
Absolutely.
get that information to you? Because I can't think of anybody offhand.
No, it's just that I've always questioned that, like you're saying the day after, let's help them. And I don't know a lot of, I only know a few elderly residents here.
sure.
What about the day before? What about no, not Rosemary, I was looking at her. No.
Rosemary's out helping the elderly
No, I was
residents.
looking at Rosemary because she knows the elderly people more than I do, because I've been here that long. With old folks. Now, that's what I mean, but you know more people because you've been here longer. So it's the day, like, I don't even know if they have stuff the day before. I don't know how well they're taking care of it. That's one of my interests. And I always wanted to help, but I've always heard, well, the police know, the police take care of them, but how can the residents help more? Well, I'm going to the store before the hurricane, 2 weeks before. Can I get you some water? Can I get you, I don't know how to help because I don't know who they are.
Sure. And that's something, because these residents are vulnerable in that they're older. It's not a list we're going to publish. We don't want to publish that. And that's why that falls under the police's purview. And it's great that you want to help, and, if you happen to know someone, wonderful. But we'll take care of that one. And so,
One more thing off my list.
absolutely. You help enough.
Thank you.
So,
One of the things that we're going to incorporate this year is if we have the need to go into a post situation, we're going to request those residents that want to volunteer to become part of the process, and we'll go out together and we'll work the residents with those in need and the law enforcement and staff, and assist with some of the needs that those that are most vulnerable in the village need. So it's part of, they talk about community policing, but during these situations is where all of that comes into play. So we're going to bring that kind of back, with the manager and some of the different ideas and different villages and cities and other places, come on board. It makes it a lot easier. For example, you brought up the issue that in your grid, there's 4 houses. One of the things that I started last year is I started contacting all my neighbors to see if we can get FPNO, and I already did it to pre-cut right along the lines to try to avoid that damage. So that's a recommendation.
It just came out.
Yeah, so we did that before. Then on top of that, we discussed we both have oaks. You got to be very careful. You got to get someone that knows what they're doing and kind of, give it a smooth haircut. Where you don't have those massive limbs that can fall right on your roof, and then it's a safety issue. So these are the things we want to address with time and kind of pre-plan. And I'm going to stop now so the manager can finish the presentation. But we'll talk a little bit more about pre and post, which are the most critical times, during hurricane season. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Back in the old days, when Crime Watch was running hot and heavy, every block had a block captain. Now, I don't know about the rest of the village, but from 10th Avenue to 11th Point, about 116th Street, Judy Hammelberg is the block captain. And I'm the co-captain. We know everybody on the block. We check on everybody all the time, no matter what it is. After Irma came, everybody was outside when it was safe to come out, checking, is everybody okay from one end of the block on both sides of the street. And it's a shame that the rest of the village can't do the same thing on their particular street, from one street to the next, one avenue to the other. Set up a block captain.
And I don't know that that organized, but I do know that our residents do that with each other. Most of particularly the long-term residents that have been here for a while, they know everybody, new, old, on their street.
And we know when people move in, the day the car pulls in the driveway, new people. We go and tell them what's going on, how to do, what to do,
Sure.
who to contact. Any questions, call Judy, call me.
There you go.
it early enough, you can watch where your power lines are, where all your feeder lines are, and you trim now, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, as we coming in here in Public Works, I started a maintenance trimming program with the guys. I started working over here first on 19, and I'm moving in certain, sections, but you're absolutely right. The FPL's trimming is really to clear the power lines.
Yeah,
And
It's
it's,
horrendous.
It's horrendous.
It's the after effect of what's happening that's dangerous.
But what, if I have to ask this question, I was going to ask it at the end. So we have neighbors we really, really like them, and we've talked to them about how our power lines have been affected, and it's been taken care of, but they still have a whole tree of coconuts, green coconuts. And we've talked about it, and they're like, oh, we love coconut. I don't know. Anyway, and should we just write to you and ask you to talk to them about it?
if it's in the public right of way, I'll handle it. But if it's on private
It's
property,
their private property. Okay, so we'll just talk about it again before the hurricane. Okay.
but anything in the public right of way that you think, please bring it to my attention.
No, but I mean, even if it's on private property and you bring it up to David,
I'll
he can contact them and say, listen, it's a private property, it's your, but you need to understand that this is not only a safety issue, but it's a liability issue, because this can injure, harm, or kill
And
someone.
they're right near the lines.
And, a flying coconut is no joke.
Yeah,
Please send me an email,
okay.
and I'll follow up with code enforcement if I have. Yeah, I won't knock on the doors. We'll shake people.
All right, so village contractor issues, if after the hurricane you have issues with grubs or one of our contractors, you can always reach us wherever we're set up. Hopefully we'll be at Village Hall. If not, then wherever we are set up, you'll know one of the public buildings. We always try to set up a cooling center. We try to have some deliveries of water. I know Commissioner Sally Heyman, our county commissioner, provided us with a couple pallets of water during Irma that we were able to distribute to residents, and it was very helpful. We're grateful to her for that. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again, should we have that. The cooling center is the rec center unless it would be damaged or something. We got fortunate during Irma, the tree fell and only scraped the rec center, didn't take it out. So we were very fortunate on that. Cable internet outages for Comcast and for AT&T, restoration of communication lines is contingent upon power restoration, of course. The first thing they do is try to get power back. After that, then it's phone and cable. So, fire hazards, if you smell smoke, see something, because there will be lots of debris around, and as it starts to dry, that can become an issue. Call 911, contact Miami-Dade Fire, and just let people know. So, structural issues, if you see a house that's severely damaged, unsafe structure, just let us know. The village will take care of that with our police department and our building department. Property security issues, the police department will remain vigilant. We didn't have, I don't think, any looting after Irma, but like safety issues will always be prioritized over the property issues. So we do look for that, and we do try to make sure that the houses are all secure. Flooding from now, again, we had very little during Irma. It came up to the houses. It also overflowed onto 6th Avenue, came up on 14th Street. But other than, a few of us who were at Village Hall having to move our cars, we were fine. Garbage collection will resume as soon as the roads are cleared. Waste Pro can't be there the next day because typically, I know, again, with Irma, every street had at least one tree in. Most streets had multiple trees in. And so as soon as we can get the garbage trucks through, we'll have them back and resume trash collection. This is the roofing issues. There's Operation Blue Roof. That will be a clickable one on the website. Domestic animal emergencies, we might be Dade County Animal Control or your vet. And then wildlife issues, Florida Fish and Wildlife.
Especially if you see an alligator.
That's just your house, Rosemary. That's your pet, we know. Pelican Harbor is also a great resource for birds, and South Florida Wildlife Center as well. what we'll be doing after the storm is maintaining, law and order and safety. Those are our priorities initially. Again, the notice to proceed to our contractor will go out prior to the hurricane so that they have boots on the ground the day after. We start to clear roads. Initially, it'll be the push, is what we call it, where they go through and they push every tree that's blocking the road that they can. It's not entangled with the power line off to the sides. Usually in the medians, wherever possible, we try not to push it into residence yards. We let the medians take the brunt of it. Excuse me. And so that allows the emergency people to be able to get through and debris contractors to be able to get through. We will assess and mitigate and barricade any and all safety hazards that we see. If you see a safety hazard, please let us know. We'll be out there, but we can't be everywhere all the time, all at once. Your extra eyes and ears are greatly appreciated. We'll set up the cooling and communication centers for residents. We'll conduct welfare checks on the elderly, provide assistance to the residents in need that we know of. So please don't hesitate to call for your neighbor or let us know for your neighbor if they can't get to us. And we participate in daily conference calls. The governor set up an emergency conference call system after Irma, and that was very helpful. We had a direct line with Governor Scott during that time, and we could say, "Hi, I'm Christian. I'm manager of the village of Biscayne Park. I need X, Y, and Z." And he was good at that, making sure that happened. So that was very helpful. Excuse me. We'll coordinate with all hurricane-free related contractors and subcontractors. Again, they'll be in place. Again, it's coordinating efforts between the utilities and our contractors sometimes. Electric, water, communications. We have FPL trying to restore power, while at the same time on the same street we're trying to, remove trees and so forth. So we do have to coordinate that. That'll fall under David's purview, and I'm sure he will do an excellent job with that. We'll work with the agencies responsible for debris monitoring and FEMA reporting. So, work with utilities to have services stored to critical buildings first. So we want the police station up and running as quickly as possible. And we're looking for a generator too. We're trying to get some grant funding for that for Village Hall. So we have a generator on that building as well.
We have a generator here, right?
We do have a generator for this building.
Because the power tools, the batteries, we can come here and recharge.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Last hurricane took me a couple of days to figure that out, because I got my chainsaw, a screwdriver, and everything. Then I figured I could come here.
We have limited power outlets, but I'm sure we can find them for you. A lot of people during Irma were here. We had power restored. This was the first building of our public buildings that had power restored. And from that perspective, we used it as a cooling center. People would come here and charge their phones, their laptops, that sort of thing. And now the power tools, didn't think of that.
Power tools, because the phone in the car, with the adapter, you can charge in the car. Power tools,
And that's something that honestly, George, I hadn't even considered as power tools, but that's something that if we had a building with electricity, certainly would let you plug in.
I want to state something that's important. Remember that the first 24 to 48 hours, when we go into the post hurricane, we're doing assessments, emergency assessments, and we're very much in an emergency mode still. So you have to be a little patient, because at the end game here is to allow us to be able to get life back to how it was before. So we want to deal with the phones, charging and all that, but we have water, ice, health issues that we got to look at. Do we, egress and ingress issues that we want to look at. Flooding, water's down, trees down. Who's going to need food supply? Who's going to need tarps? What, do we have
How are we gonna get the team?
loose pets and animals? Who do we have to work with to get them into a Red Cross shelter? What families do we need to contact in order to, have the person relocate? And, so it's almost like that TV show, The First 48. So just be a little patient. I know sometimes we go, and I mean this in the utmost respect, 'cause I'm also, it's, you know, how we built. We go into the me mode, but try to have a little patience within the first 48 hours, because it's really about the entire community and public safety and overall wellness. So it's gonna take us about 24 to 48 hours. That initial assessment is extremely critical. That's when we discuss with FPNL, with the governor,
Right.
and many of those things.
And that's about restoring, you know, services, about safety. It's about mitigating any further damage. You know, we
Yeah.
don't want to, we don't want to remove a tree that's fallen and pull the rest of the power lines down from the block. You know, we don't want to take this tree and remove it and then pull up all the water lines.
Right.
So there are things like that where we have to work together to mitigate.
Yeah, and I'm, you know, and the manager knows that about me. I'm very direct, and I like to say it the way it is, so the expectations are clear and transparent. You don't want to overwhelm the public services, because if you say, well, I need a policeman to stand in the back of my door was thrown away, guess what? You know, how about the rest of the whole village? You know, that we have to deal with these other issues that need to be addressed prior to us then identifying the specific needs that we have to address for you. So we kind of have to work it all in all at once. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing the first 48 hours.
Thank you, Chief.
I don't know if this is a thank you.
Go ahead.
No, that was a thing. Oh, yes, sir.
While we're on the starting of the streets, Park and Parkways made a recommendation about where debris would be placed.
Uh-huh.
And there was an issue about whether it would be in the median or you should place it on the swale. Have you guys made a decision about that?
After a hurricane, all bets are off.
I'm just saying, this is what they said.
I'm aware of the recommendation.
Yeah.
And,
So I thought I'd bring it up, that's all.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. But if I have the option, I mean, as village manager, if I have the option of putting debris on someone's swale directly in front of their house or putting it in the median, I'm going to go with the median. So, you know, plain and simple, it's about the residents. We can make it pretty, you know, pretty quickly afterwards. You know, and get it back to normal within a few months. But
Well,
the reality-
I'm asking because people should have a direction about where they can put debris.
Sure.
So you're saying it's okay to put it in the median?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
During
That's cool.
hurricane, only during a or after
Yeah,
a
of course,
hurricane.
but after the
It's
storm,
gotta go on your swale.
like the title there.
Right.
That's
If
cool.
you don't have access to a median, it's gotta go on your swale.
And it does, absolutely. So,
No,
Thank you.
if you be prepared,
mhm.
stay calm, okay, be patient, and find out if anybody in your neighborhood has a canoe in case it floods, you have a way to get in and out.
Rosemary's offering her canoe.
No, my neighbor John had a canoe when Wilma came through because we were flooded a foot deep. And the
Right.
only way we could get our mail from the mail carrier was him to get the canoe down the street. And he'd come over here to get whatever he needed. So it was, he still has the canoe. But it's a way to get in and out. Just stay calm and everything will take care of itself eventually.
Can you come by and get me?
If anyone would like, we could take up a collection for a gondolier.
There you go.
Okay, and then, one of the things I'll be doing is managing the fund allocations to ensure the funds are available to pay contractors, that sort of thing. We're fortunate to have a little cash in our reserve fund. We had much more before Irma. We're waiting for FEMA to approve us and get us back from that. FEMA's not approving much of anything these days in the state of Florida. We're in an appeal process with them currently. And we do expect them to approve it. They're just taking their time on that. For this year, we have an additional line of credit that we're setting up so that should we need $1 million quickly for cleanup, we'll have access to it. So financially, we're good on that. Again, Hurricane Irma. This was 2017. You can see it's a huge hurricane, covered the whole state of Florida. And we were very lucky that it was not the direct hit that was initially promised to us. And that's what lucky looked like. A few months afterwards, when we had that pile was one of two like that. And so we were very fortunate there. Just a data recap on what we did there, which is similar to what we'll do going forward. As soon as the winds die down, police will begin surveying the damage to the village. And we did that during residents, county, and utilities. And village staff will do everything they can to communicate with all of these people. A lot of, again, our eyes and ears are going to be you as residents. Let us know where you have a problem, where you see a problem. And that will be the best way to get it resolved as quickly as possible. If you can't be without power, if you know someone that's, for instance, on oxygen or something like that, they can't be without power for a period, consider installing your own generator. And that helps you as just a resident be a little bit more resilient. Choose self-reliance. And then comments, questions, what would you like to know? What can we do to make this better for you and help you prepare better for a hurricane?
I'm ready.
Questions? Jeff?
Yeah, I got another question.
Okay.
Have we had any success in trying to find an off-site dumping location for the debris?
No, not yet. That's what I covered earlier. Currently, it's going to be here at the rec center in the field. That's
Right,
already
I just
been
wondered if we're still trying to pursue possibilities.
We can look for that, but again, it's,
It's not just now, but the future.
oh, absolutely, yeah. I don't know of any. I have not been able to find any. I have asked a number of people, a number of municipalities. If you know of something, please tell me. You know, if you have a friend that has, you know, a few acres. But again, too, part of it is that we want to be able to get this debris removed from the resident, in front of residents' homes as quickly as possible for the majority of the village. And if it's off-site, if it's in another city, that sort of thing, another municipality, then it's additional time for the contractor to come and go. And so it's going to slow the process down.
This place isn't reasonable. It's local.
It
It's
is.
easily accessed. It's the most logical. It's central to the village.
It is.
And it has plenty of room. Makes more sense, use this. So we will, replace the grass after it's all over.
That's it. We would have to replace the sprinklers and the grass. And, you know, it's not optimal. There's nowhere in the village that's optimal for debris accumulation. There really isn't. I mean, I wish we had a large space that was just outside the village that we could do this. But we'll continue to look around and ask around. So.
I have a question, I'm sorry. I don't know if you will be able to tell me. I have huge trees around in my yard, and most of them are like over the house. That's what really scares me most when it comes to hurricane season. I call like 3 companies to call on the cleaning of them, but all of them told me that they could not be cleaned from the top or on the top. Because I don't know what kind of trees are they that cannot be cleaned from the top. So I want to know if there is a regulation or something that if that what they are telling me is okay, or
There is. You cannot top trees. What do I mean by top trees? You can trim trees, but you can't top. You can't top trees.
You can't take it off the top, you mean?
You can't top, correct. You can't just,
But for the tree.
exactly. What you can do is reduce its canopy to a certain percentage. But it's illegal to top a tree. That means,
Yeah,
but
I'm
but they
really
could
not thinking about-
they could trim and eliminate 20-30%. That can be done. There's some trees that can be removed under the county's guidelines, and some trees that are preserved.
yeah, I love the trees, but I don't like them in hurricane season. I'm
So
scared.
you don't want to request them to top the tree, you want them to reduce its canopy.
And you have to be careful too with some of the tree trimming companies because they want to come in and just clean out the whole middle of the tree,
Correct.
which isn't healthy for the branches.
You gotta lift.
So we have an arborist in the village, I won't do this now.
Well,
No
we're gonna
commercial
suggest-
announcement.
no,
I
it's
can
not
do
at all. Suggest them.
No, it's very good,
Yeah.
cheaper than the other people.
And it's always good to have an arborist that can advise you on that. I don't know what kind of trees you have or specifically where they're located, but having an arborist on site, he can look at you, tell you how to best, protect your home without damaging the trees so that you lose the trees too. Yes?
Another question about the Groves contract. So has the Groves contract contract, I understand it, there's Miami-Dade County rates for debris removal. Is that right? And our contract is,
Our contract's being negotiated right now.
the gross contract? I thought it was already,
No, it's not in place yet. It's with our attorneys. And so there's, we'll work on that. And that should be on the June commission.
in the monitoring contract?
Again, on the June commission. That's
We're
already,
going to have a monitoring company?
yeah, we've already run the RFP, we've gotten our responses, and that'll be coming out in June.
Okay, good. And do we have backups for both monitoring and debris removal?
We do have backups yet for that. We can certainly get those should need be. Grubs, one of the things that we encountered, that everyone encountered really during Irma, was that because there was so much work, there was Harvey, a couple of weeks before in Texas, and a lot of the resources went to Texas for that. Then we had Irma, which covered the entire state of Florida. And then we had Maria a couple of weeks later. The county offered a lot of the contractors more money per cubic yard to come work for the county. And that was moving resources out of individual municipalities to the county. We were fortunate. Grubbs, number one, Grubbs let us piggyback on a Hernando County contract. That saved us about $1.3 million right there, just on debris removal. They honored the contract. It was really a mistake on their part, but they honored the contract. Grubbs also stood by us during the hurricane, or after the hurricane, when other contractors were losing their subcontractors to different municipalities or the county. Grubbs told their subcontractors, if you abandon the job to go somewhere that pays more, you will never work with us again. And as a result, we were able to, keep our contractors going, keep our debris moving as much as possible. So Grubbs has been, exceptionally good to us, and honorable people. I've met the head of the company himself, and he keeps his word. So from that perspective, I feel very comfortable. Any more questions? All right. Thank you all for coming out today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.